The life review changes them because they realize that every little act of kindness matters. It counts. And they see how it affected that other person. And not only that other person, but many times God shows them the ripple effect, life to life to life. I interviewed a chief anesthesiologist of the Bakersfield Heart Hospital who grew up in India and was Hindu. Okay. And so he's brought many people back from death. He's heard people tell their near-death stories of, I traveled this beautiful place and this God of light, and it was so amazing. And he'd give him a shot of antipsychotic drug. He thought psychosis. He did not believe it. And then he had one. So he's in the LA Medical Center. He has this horrible rupture of, all his intestines spilling out in his body and sepsis, and he dies. And he also, he had become addicted to opioids. His name is Dr. Parti. He was abusive verbally toward his son. And this is by his words to me. He'd become a materialist, so he didn't care about his patients. They were just an object through which he could get more money, invest in the stock market, and buy and build bigger houses and faster cars. So he starts off in a hellish experience as well. Again, he cries out to God for forgiveness. He said, I was repenting. That's the word he used with me. Then these two angels that he said were angels from the Bible, which really confused him, take him through this tunnel-like, portal-like, to this place of exquisite beauty in the presence of this God of light who is love. And again, the personality of knows you intimately, everything about you.
Wow.
You've never felt so understood. Because there's no one, think about it, there's no one who has been through everything with you, every high, every low, and yet is still crazy in love with you. Now that's, we're like, yeah, well, if anybody had been through everything with me, they wouldn't like me anymore. Yeah. But not only that, he actually likes you. And that's what they consistently say. And Rajiv then, in the presence of this God, has a life review. And in the life review, he sees the way, and this is typically how this life review goes. And it varies by unique individual, but usually in the presence of God, they relive their entire life in a 3D panoramic replay right before them. Now, here's the wild thing though. One of Jesus' disciples, Peter, in 2 Peter 3:8 in the New Testament says, to the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years and 1,000 years is like a day. Mm-hmm. Well, that's exactly what near-death experiencers say. They say, I don't know if it was seconds or hours or days. Time doesn't work the same way on the other side. Some of them say there was no time or time stopped. But others say, no, there was time because things happened and things changed, but you always had all the time you needed. And some would say, well, it was past, present, and future all at the same moment. So in Imagine Heaven, I talk about, we live in one-dimensional time, but I expand on what would it be like to be in two-dimensional time and how that's exactly what they're describing. So in this life review, that's how they're able to basically relive their lives. Now they're watching every scene play out, but they're re-experiencing it. So they remember what they were thinking and feeling, but also from God's perspective, they're experiencing what the other person in every interaction was thinking and feeling. So this is the wild part. And this is you're right. It's what has the most impact on them other than the presence of God. So I'd say the presence of God is first. They're like, I never wanted to leave. And he is the relationship we've always wanted. But the second is the life review changes them because they realize that every little act of kindness matters. It counts. And they see how it affected that other person. And not only that other person, but many times God shows them the ripple effect, life to life to life. This one woman, Penny Whitbroat, was a nurse, she dies when she has an allergic reaction. So she's there having her life review, and God shows her a time when she's in line at a grocery store, and she had been a single mom, and it's a single mom with kids, and she's trying to figure out what groceries to put back because she doesn't have enough money. Mm-hmm. And Penny, just out of compassion, goes, "Hey, don't worry about it. I got this." And the mom was like, "No. She said, "I've been there. I got this, please." And so she bought the rest of it for her. Well, then God shows her how that single mom goes on and starts to volunteer at a soup kitchen, and how it makes a difference in the lives of these people that she was serving. And so you see this life by life, but they also see their mean actions or the things that they do that are, selfish or self-centered, and how, I was thinking about this guy I interviewed just a few weeks ago, and he said, I saw when I was in middle school, and this kid I bullied, I just picked on him and I bullied him. And God showed me what he felt and how it affected his self-esteem and how it even affected his parents trying to then help him. And it really changed the trajectory of his life in many ways. So it's like eye-opening, to say the least. But here's the other thing it shows us, Nick. And again, you're talking about, Rajiv is a Hindu. And yet same God of light, same life review. And then at another point, he later asks this God of light, "Who are you, Lord?" And he tells me, "Out of the light steps a man in a robe with a gold sash and a beard," and says to him, "I'm Jesus, your Savior." Now he comes back. Now, again, we're talking chief anesthesiologist.
Yeah,
right.
He was the one who was injecting people
when
they came back
because he thought they were crazy.
Yeah.
So it changed his life completely, and he was very confused by it. But what I like to point out is that God has always been the God of all nations. Mm-hmm. All the way back in Genesis. So in Genesis chapter 12, and this is Abraham, who God raises up Abraham and Sarah to start a nation, right? And it's going to be the Jewish nation. They started from Abraham and Sarah. And God says to them, "I'm going to bless you, and you will be a blessing to all the nations." So that was the point from the beginning. Okay. This is 4,000 years ago, by the way. This is before any of the sacred writings of any of the world's religions have been written. Okay? That most people don't realize that. So this God has been communicating since the beginning of written human history, probably before, but we only have records since then, right? Mm-hmm. And then all through the prophets, about 500 times in the Jewish prophets, God is speaking to all the nations. And he keeps saying what he's going to do for all the nations. Jesus comes and claims to lay down his life to forgive all the nations. And then he tells his followers, he says, "Go and tell it to all nations. There's forgiveness offered in my name." Because of what he did. He paid the price of justice. Mm-hmm. Then the very last book of the Bible, John, in the book of Revelation, sees people that he says are gathered there worshiping God from every nation, tribe, language, and people group. So this is most gods are tribal gods. Mm. If you read the history of the gods, they're local. They're not speaking to or doing things for all people. But this is the God of all nations and always has been. And so right now, I believe he is raising up these testimonies all over that are just showing, again, evidence.
Yeah.
And, back to why are people so turned off by the word Jesus or even God? And I think it's misunderstanding. You know, it's just what people do in the name of God, you know, and it just turns us off. But I like to remind people, well, you know, the Jewish religious leaders of Jesus' day, they were the most religious. They were the ones looked up to, and yet they crucified Jesus in the name of protecting God's glory. So people can get it wrong, but God can use it for good.
If you could take a second and hit that red button below this video, it would mean the world to me. It's kind of what fuels this show, and it's free for you to do. Just subscribe to the show, and if you want to, you can like the episode, which helps it get out to more people. It really means a lot to us. Thanks.